All right, it is Wednesday, September 7th, 6 o'clock. Calling the Board of Health meeting to order. Is anyone recording this besides LakeCAM? I see no one. First on the agenda is 26 Wisteria Street. Meet with Foresight Engineering, discuss requested local upgrade approvals.
Evening, Darren Michaelis here on behalf of Mr. Gallipo, 26 Wisteria. We had an existing cesspool, so we're definitely in an upgrade situation. The well was only 50 feet away from the existing cesspool. We're proposing a microfast system and asking for a reduction down to 80 feet from the existing well with the microfast. It allows us to shrink the leach field size and stick it in the corner a little bit better. We're still taking down 3 monster trees that are on site there. I could push it a little further towards the property lines, but grading becomes an issue right there. Kind of raises up towards the wall on one side and there's some debris there. So I kind of gave a little bit of room for the excavator. I didn't figure a couple more feet was that important when we're putting in a microfast anyways.
I didn't see too much. You guys anything?
No, I had one question, I guess you just add on, Darren. We did a perk on this one, it looks like. I mean,
We did a sieve, yeah.
on it, because it said it was too wet at time of perk to do a test.
It was damp, yes.
But there's no modeling and no water table. So
Yeah, it was just
kinda
wet
confusing.
from all the fill and the sand that's right there at 42 inches. It was just damp. So we weren't able to take that.
But there was no models and no,
Nope.
No
And even
water.
across the street, I did 31 Wisteria, their septic, 32's been done. There's no water table in that area. Just the material is just real tight, but it's not modeled and there's no distinct color change like we normally see. It's still that dark and brown color. It's not light gray or grayish at all. So everyone around me has confirmed that because that's kind of what I was thinking too, is we should have water, but he's got a dry crawl space underneath the house. No one around there has any water issues. We're at the top of the hill here, so.
When we said wet, it wasn't like weeping wet
Yeah,
or anything like
it's
that.
that muddy. When you put your hand in, I clean my hole out and my hand comes out, it's all muddy.
yeah.
It's just damp.
Was that all the way down or just on the surface? Up where
Just
you
on
were
those
trying
first few feet that we were trying
Trying
to
to perk.
dig my hole in, yeah.
to- It was perked what,
'Cause
May?
usually like when it's wet, it'll be dry soil and then you'll see it weeping. There's a clear line of, okay, this is saturated soil and this is unsaturated. It wasn't that. It was
Just
it was
mud.
damp from previous rains, but
Yeah.
it wasn't an indication of any groundwater. Like there wasn't a clear line like that. So
Okay, so we have no water issue.
Yeah,
this is pretty high up there.
Yeah, all these perks around me are all 30s. Like everyone in this corner's got 30 minutes per inch, so it's just really tight material. We're on top of the hill, so maybe the groundwater runs off fast enough that it doesn't stain it, but
Okay.
no one else has raised systems either. So we're putting in the fast, so even if it was up a little bit, we're only a couple feet in the ground, so
Okay.
3 feet.
One other question on this one. Is there any of the association water by this house yet? Seeing you asking for a variance in the well.
No, there is not,
There's none.
not up this road at all.
Okay, do they plan on tying in when it comes by?
I would think so, yes,
You
he
don't
would
know.
plan on tying in. You could make that a constituent if you want within a year or two to tie in, since you give him the variance.
I think.
He's
we've
putting in the
asked
fast
for
really to
that
shrink the
before,
size, 'cause-
seeing you- But you do have a fast, I mean.
Yeah,
you know,
the leach field would have been enormous
no one's
without the
doing that,
fast.
But I know we've asked and you asked for a variance.
Yep, that would be standard, you've done that before.
And
Give 'em-
connect it within, when it comes down.
Yeah, give 'em
Within
two,
the 60
just
days
gonna
is
be
when
the-
it comes.
Oh, within a year, I think you said a year last
Yeah.
time, because there's gonna be a deed restriction anyway, so we can just add that to the deed restriction. This is a 2-bedroom.
And this was already a 2-bedroom
Yep.
existing, so you just
Yeah, we're not increasing size at all.
increasing size. And you decided to go with the treatment system?
Yeah, just to shrink it, because otherwise you would have been 60 feet from the well.
Okay.
There was no way to fit a
So that
system in,
made
yeah.
it smaller to get
Yeah.
it further. Like you said,
I could gain a few more feet,
a
but
few more feet if we give you a variance to the property line.
yeah, I think it came out to be 60 feet was what I would have been with a normal size system, no matter how I cockeyed it in that corner.
Yeah. Like you said, if we moved it a little further and gave you a variance to the property line.
Yeah, doesn't really help me at all.
If you're okay with getting the tie into the.
Yeah, I would think they
association.
would want to tie in when the water comes through, so. This
If
well,
you
this
want it done.
existing well from the 50s probably.
Is
It's
it a
just
point
shallow.
or is it deep?
Yeah, it's just a point well.
Okay, so that's even more reason.
Yep. I agree.
I think that was my only question on this
No,
one.
I'm good with it. As long as they hook in within a year, just make that restriction when you run the motion, I'm fine with it.
Ed, you have anything to add?
No, I think you're pretty much covered it.
Anybody talk on this one?
Yeah, anyone else to speak to this? And I'm good with
Good.
those suggestions also.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the septic repair at 26 Wisteria Street, as drawn, with the addition of tying into the association water once it becomes available onto the property within 1 year of availability. And I think we'd said we want this,
2-bedroom deed restriction?
a 2-bedroom deed restriction, which I believe is already on this.
Yeah.
A 2-bedroom deed
It's on the plan, yeah.
restriction. And I think we were trying to do this now, Ed, with having this as a deed restriction tying in, so, because we've already run into this problem, future owners didn't know that.
Yeah, so you'd have to make a new deed restriction and you just add that to it.
So we're gonna add, it
Yeah.
has to be tied in on the deed, so a new buyer knows.
Yes. Yeah, do
when this
title search,
happens.
it'll come up. Yep.
You good with that, Bob?
Go ahead, runner.
I did.
Oh, second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next on the agenda is 4 Rachel's Way. Meeting with Forest Engineering to discuss Lakeville regulation variance requests.
Good evening, Darren from Foresight, here on behalf of Mr. Bizio. They're constructing this road on their own, and this is gonna be his personal house. In the past, we've also asked for this variance on one of their properties over in Anderson Way. So basically what we're asking for is you have a regulation that requires us to be above groundwater with our basement floor. And we're actually wanna go 3 feet below groundwater on the high side of the house. Install a foundation drain, stone underneath the slab, run that out to a small riprap pond down gradient, so we have daylight. Plenty of space to store the water and let it flow naturally down the hill to the wetlands, which are 200 feet away. Other than that, it's a standard, pretty standard design, no other variances requested. He's got a mounted system that we're actually pumping downhill to, which is kind of an odd situation, but it'd be tough to fill over the pipe without the pump going all the way down the hill. It's a perched water table out here. There's no standing water. You can see how far down the wetlands are on site.
Yeah.
So in my estimation too, I would agree with Jared that if, you get some stone underneath the slab and you get some piping to daylight, the water will disappear, and that's what happened on Anderson Way. This house never had any water issues over there. Almost the same type of soils across the street.
Now, was that one on a slope like
Yep,
this one is?
just like this, big slope, and we just daylighted it out. I don't even think we did a riprap pond or anything. We just had a pipe to daylight.
On Anderson?
Yeah,
Yeah, this lot has way more pitch than Anderson did.
yeah. That's why I
Is
thought-
Anderson 3 feet in the ground under it though?
It might have been like, yeah, because I think out there we had 4-foot water and you got a full basement in the ground.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, he's probably
You in the
under.
water table, I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You were.
Because it's a perched water table in this situation, so all the surface water now will be graded away with the way we're grading around the house. So all that should run down the hill, and anything that does hit the foundation should hit the curtain drain.
Did you do a hole of like approximately where you want to put?
Yeah, we had a
foundation?
couple holes right in that area that didn't perk, so we know that's the groundwater. It's
So
just,
you saw the perch and
Yeah.
like how was it below the perch?
it's just tough material.
Is it t-
It's very
You didn't
tight.
break through to anything better
No.
below?
No.
I'm just curious how.
Yeah,
that,
we perked right
how
up.
that drained. You know
I think
what
we
mean?
had 30 minutes, 16 and 13. So,
On this one, I don't know, I got quite a few questions on it. I mean, I know in theory it'll probably work, but you're asking for a 5 foot lower than where you're supposed to be. It's about 130 up at the top of the hill, the swamps, at about below 90. So you
So
got,
we're doing a, interceptor for.
yeah, 1 foot underneath it.
No, on the edge of my tree line, where I cleared.
north of
To
the
intercept
house.
all the water coming down.
Is that on here somewhere?
No, he's just gonna do
No,
that
I'll do
himself.
that.
Okay. All right. so
Again, that's surface water, so that'll stop surface water from, but the grading should anyways, the 113 should direct the water around the house. We got a 112 there. So we're kind of making a swale right there.
Yeah, so, and this, your topo grades end at the property line, does that keep going uphill above that 130 contour?
Yes.
So we're even going up higher.
Yep, all the way to the road, all the way to the main road,
So
county
you
road.
got, 300 feet, you're dropping 17 feet towards your house of hill coming. I was out there yesterday,
Yeah,
went by there and,
yeah, it's the same as all the existing houses that are out there now.
Right.
On Rachel's Way, they're all on that slope, so.
Yeah, the one on the left coming up looked like was
Yeah.
out of the ground. It looked like they kind of put it on the ground and it was 2.5
Yeah,
feet
the, like the
foundation
back of the
showing.
house is in the ground. In this case, he just wants the front of the house more on the ground rather than
Right.
the back of the house.
I mean,
And we tried to put it on the flattest spot we could on the
Right.
lots that would be grading around it.
I mean,
So
in
like
my,
on Anderson Way, a lot of the houses there, the front of them was in the ground quite a bit, but the back wasn't because
it was a walkout.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I
But we
was-
still filled the inside of the whole footing with crushed stone.
Yeah,
Southeastern foundation will sleeve the bottom of the footing.
Yeah.
So if you get 1 inch of water that builds up, it starts to flow out.
Right.
And on Anderson Way, and it doesn't matter what house, whether it's mine or a customer's, I put a T where the sleeve goes in and then I bring it up so I can check it. You know what I mean?
It's going.
Put a cap on it, I can always look.
Okay. I mean, honestly, I just think it's a bad idea. I mean, whether we grant it or not, to go that deep. I mean, this, what is that, 25 acres on this lot?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it was definitely designed to have a walkout on the right side of the house, have the garage to the left into the hill.
yeah,
Move it over to the
I'm just
106
designing what my
onto it.
client wants.
No, I understand.
Yeah. I know what the
I mean,
lot's built
it looks
for
like you-
normally and,
You
yeah.
picked a house and you just plopped it on this lot.
No, this is how he wants to build it, and, you know, I don't disagree with him, and, you know, if you went out there now, in probably 8 months of the year, there's no water anywhere 4 or 5 feet, even 6 feet below grade. It's only gonna be a couple months of the year.
You know, and the other thing I didn't,
It's kind of like that whole side of Lakeville. When it's
Yeah.
dry, it's dry.
Dry, when it's wet, you're at 3 feet, you're gonna have some water.
Great gravel.
especially when the spring and the melt, you're gonna have water probably running at that model there at 36 inches. I mean, you agree? I mean, hopefully that drain will, you're gonna do a French drain above it or a curtain drain.
Yep.
And again, you're sinking it so low, you're only leaving a foot of foundation showing. That
Yeah.
means you're gonna need window wells, so it means all this water coming down, you got, looks like you got about a 5 foot, 1 foot lower depression from 113 to 112 to 113.
Yep, so that's
And if
my
that
swale, yeah.
Fills with ice and snow and melts and freezes, and then you get a rainstorm with over 17 feet of pitch coming at the house into window wells. I mean, not saying it can't work. And then the drain, I have a 6-inch drain on my house personally, so I know how they drain and how they leach. I've had mine freeze up because it drains out slowly when the drain gutters are tied into it. It melts a little, and then it freezes because it's so cold out in sub-zero weather.
Yep.
And I have to go out and maintain that drain. I literally chip the ice out of it, clean the leaves out of it.
Well, I mean, we'll be 4 feet, we'll be 4 feet in the ground.
Got it separate.
Yeah.
We'll be 4 feet in the ground with that pipe too.
But I mean, it freezes up where it comes out. So
Yeah,
when the water
down the
trickles
pond.
out, it's slow, and then it's so cold, it'll stop building ice.
But that would happen in any drainage pond.
That's what I mean. It's just something that, you know, if this thing ever plugged and with ice or froze up and it wasn't caught in time, you could wake up in the morning and have 2 feet of water or a foot of water in your basement. I'm just saying, it's something to think about. I don't know.
I could put a sump pump back up.
And I mean, the top of my
That would
basin
probably
is,
be-
yeah, the top of my basin is a foot lower than the slab, so the basin is gonna overtop before it even backs up to the house. There's no way we'd flood the basin from that pipe.
At the depth.
Yeah, it'd have to,
'Cause you
it'd have to
gotta
overtop
pitch.
that pond. Water doesn't wanna go
104.
uphill, it wants to go
So it'd be
downhill.
2 feet above it even if it froze.
Yeah. So I'm 105 at the top of the pond, 104 at the bottom, and our slabs are 106, so. You'd have to build up a 1 foot dam of ice over our top of pond. Yeah.
I'm
This
just
is gonna
saying,
be a house, it's not a customer's house?
This is my house.
Yeah, Jared's gonna keep all this land, he's gonna make the rest of it into recreational, so we can't disturb it.
and this, you know, another point I'd do, if we did end up granting something like this, I think it's something that should be on the deed or something, something as important as this. So if any buyer in the future, not, they know it's your house now, but in 5 years, 10
They
years,
know it's
20
variance,
years,
yep.
somebody wanted to buy this, they know the Board of Health granted a variance on the water table in your basement.
Deed that you would grant, it'd be like restriction, you would grant this variance, so
Right.
that the title search for variance comes up.
Just because people wouldn't know. I mean, not that you're ever gonna,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
For the
Somebody
awareness
buys
part
it.
of it, so if they
They
bought it,
buy
they
it,
know that they need to.
They don't know
maintain
there's
it.
drains
You know
there.
what I mean? something like that, you wanna make sure it's being maintained.
Because it's pretty major. I mean, you're looking 5 feet below the water table.
Yeah, you would agree with that deed
Oh,
restriction,
3
that'd be
water
fine.
table.
That yard swale too, we've had someone else that had one not that long ago, where, like, I don't think it was maintained, that didn't help either too. So
Yeah.
like having that, the awareness of that, I think is important for people down the road.
Yeah, Jared has no problem with a deed restriction if you want to add that, that's
I
not a
mean, just
problem.
so.
You can
any
just do a
future
standard deed
know
restriction,
that,
showing the variance is granted and.
Still, I think,
I mean, I wouldn't do it
3
on my
feet's a
house,
lot.
but it's his house, I mean, but it's,
It's a lot too to save him to fill in the back of the yard. He doesn't want to walk out. So right now, the back of the house, we have windows in the basement, but not a full walkout. So he has daylight coming in, but
but if you even fill into that 113, you're still gonna have all window wells, and maybe filling up within a foot at the top. And you could raise it up a 1.5 feet and not even have window wells and then get light in. And your slabs or garage is already low enough. So even if, well, you'd have to raise that a little if you came up, but I guess it's a call.
I don't
Ed, did you have anything to
know,
add?
give him 2 instead of 3?
No.
I mean, obviously
Yeah,
Jared's just looking to sink as much as he can. If you guys don't want to grant the full variance, then whatever you felt comfortable
If you're in
with.
the water table,
I'd
you're
like to confirm
on the
that.
table.
If you guys do approve
With 3
it,
foot low.
I'd like to confirm that a system is in place, so just incorporate it as part of the inspection.
Yeah,
So that, you know,
Expect the
when they're
footstone
putting
under
it
the
in,
footing.
it's
Yeah.
not just you saying you're gonna do it. I would actually have to go out and, you know,
Yeah.
witness that you did do it.
Like I said, I know we've granted variance before.
Yeah.
I mean, I've asked one for a lot I did, but that was just a foot.
yeah, it's just with the amount of pitch
You know,
we have,
into the water
right?
table.
Versus 1 foot versus 3 foot on a perched water table, I mean, what's really the difference? It's either gonna be there or it's not. So whether I'm a foot below it or 3 feet below it, I have a drain that's going out, a system to take care of it.
Yeah, it's a unique situation. When I first saw that 3 feet below, I was like, what? Why would you do that? But seeing the mitigating things and that it is on the slope, I think about my house, like during the big floods and stuff, my neighborhood is up by the schools, the basements never got wet in that area until the big floods in 2010.
Yep.
And it came up
Right.
and we've had one rainstorm since that's done that now, because now that those pathways are open,
Yep.
it's just that much easier. And I think it's some of the horrible rainstorms we have sometimes. The mitigation stuff I think helps. I'm on the fence. I mean, I guess it's a choice thing to me, is the way
I
I'm
mean, if
looking
it
at it.
wasn't his house, I'd just say no, but
Yeah,
it's
I
his
mean-
house, so if we're gonna put deed restrictions and sump pumps and a swale upgrade of it and,
Well, that's what I'm saying, where it's his choice, it's his place. That's probably where I'm leaning toward.
But again, yeah, well, put a deed restriction.
Yeah, the restrictions on that.
But.
Yeah, that would be
sold it
attached to the
somebody
title and
else.
then inspections by Ed of the system when it goes in, so. we know
You
what to put in.
comfortable with a 6-inch? You think will hold enough of the water coming out of
Yeah,
that whole hill and
6 inches
everything's
going down
coming out
that
of there?
slope, that's almost at like
And my house only
5%.
had a 4, and my other basement was almost double the size.
There's not much of a slope on it, because your slab is at 106 and your pipe is at 105 coming out. No,
Yeah, I think I laid it at 1.5 or 1%.
okay, but I mean, your pipe is underneath the slab, so you get a 4-inch slab, so that's, now you're down to like 105 and,
Yep.
you know. So with a 6-inch pipe, you're almost at 105, because you got a 4-inch pipe and a 6-inch, a 4-inch slab and a 6-inch
So we
pipe.
can always lower
So
the
that's
pond.
10 inches right there.
Yeah.
So you're 10 inches below 106.
Okay,
So you're at 105 too.
That
and you're
pipe should
coming
be
out
under
at
footing.
2.
yeah,
So
we
that's a
can
big-
drop the pond down, then I can just lower it down and do a revision, that's not a problem.
yeah, that's a good catch, Ed.
Yeah,
I didn't think of that either.
so that pipe, I would
Yeah.
definitely went under the footing, so you have 10 inches of footing and a 4-inch floor of head pressure before.
So I can either
To
move the
get the
base or
water out.
we can raise the house a foot. I think you'd be
I
more
mean, this
comfortable.
drops plenty.
Yeah, I think you might be more comfortable raising the house a foot.
I would, but it's, I like you said, you're in the water. I would be any, I think you're
Well, that's
really.
better for the drains, because you don't want the water to get right to your floor before it starts to
Right.
drain. You want it to start draining the foot underneath your concrete, so you don't see it.
Right, so you'd have to bring, instead of coming out at 105, I mean, you'd have to move it down the hill at least another 10, 15 feet down to
Yeah, to hit the next
104,
grade.
103,
Exactly.
put more pipe.
Yeah,
Because it should come out under the footing. Top of the
Exactly.
pipe should be bottom of footing.
Yeah. And like I said, with that, when it's a really gradual slope, it's going slow, and that's when it's.
That's when it freezes too.
well, I think he just said though that he was gonna have him again pour a hole in the footing.
Right, but I wouldn't recommend
We
putting.
can raise the house a foot, that's not a problem.
I would
Up to
recommend it under the
150.
footing.
Yeah, and then put the pipe under the footing.
Yep.
So you build up
have-
some water and pressure before.
Yeah,
it
and then
gets
I'll
to the
revise the
slab.
pond if I need to, I'll
So
just
you
slide
have
it
10
down the
inches
hill.
under your footing, that water getting out, even though 6-inch pipe, you'd have 16 inches. Just to be safe, that water's getting out of there, you don't want it coming up close to your floor, making your floor damp, and
Yep, easy enough. We got plenty of room on the slope to put
you
something.
have plenty of room on the slope. And,
Yeah, I'll just slide it down
15
the
feet
hill.
of pipe, you gain 3 feet, especially with the contours are close.
All right.
But you're okay with going up a foot?
Yep, go up without eliminate the front yard and give them more room for a swale and window wells and stuff like that. That'll give them more window space in the backyard too, so.
And we'll leave
And
it
then
with
still
it.
sink the pipe a little farther if you want.
Yep.
It ain't gonna hurt nothing.
Yeah, I'll push the
But
pond
that
down
is-
the hill.
Then you really have, at least then it'll be flowing. It's like Derek was saying earlier, with a pitch so slight, it's gonna freeze up.
Okay,
So at least now it's gonna be running if water's in there.
yeah, I'll run it at 2%.
You say going up the ground is below frost, but it's the last
Yeah.
Yep,
10 feet of pipe.
right where
that's
it's sticking out.
Sticking out.
It's like a condensate drain, the new stupid pipes that stick out of the back
They
of the
freeze.
house. Yeah.
It all
The
has
wind's
to come
blowing the
down
right
inside
way,
house.
once or twice a year, the wind's hitting the right way, and they just drip, and they freeze, and then the units shut off, because the water can't get away. So, all right, I'm with you. If you wanna run that, I'll
Yeah,
go for it.
And you're okay leaving,
Deed restriction.
the deed restriction, just so
Yep.
anybody knows it's,
Yeah, it'll just stay what the variance rule was and that we're responsible for the pond and the pipe and taking care of that.
okay. And, so let me get right down the elevations here. So you were asking for
3 feet, now it's
3
gonna be
feet, so
2.
it's gonna be 2 feet.
Yep.
Lowest floor, 2 feet below first floor table, okay. And we were gonna say you're gonna put a sump pump in also with it? Is that-
Well, I personally don't think it's necessary at all, but I mean.
We can put a
You
hole
guys
there.
want me to put the bucket in the ground, and then I have
I'd say,
a
yeah.
secondary option.
Yeah, at least put a bucket in for now.
Yep, that's fine. And then have Ed inspect the system.
I mean, personally, opinion, I just think it would be a good safety, well worth
Yeah.
the cost of a
Putting it
sump
in.
pump and a bucket, just in case that did freeze and you didn't catch it, leaves, something trickled and froze and a severe
Raccoon
cold.
climbs up it.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't wake up with a foot of water in your basement?
Black.
For $200.
Muskrat.
Yeah,
But
Yeah. And maybe put an animal guide on the end of the pipe.
yeah. He's got some snakes out there.
Yeah, but
Damn
they don't
big.
have a freezer.
sump pump bucket. And,
And then Board of Health inspection. of the
Board of Health
system.
inspection on the system. And if, do you want to inspect the drain up top too, if that's what you're doing?
Yeah, I think you'd want to come out and see the stone under the footing, the bucket in, and then when we put the pipe in, you come back and see that and then
Okay.
out in the pond.
And you said you're still gonna draw some sort of drain up top to catch some of that water coming
Yeah, I'm
down?
doing an interceptor drain.
And then septic drain?
Yeah, around the front.
Just along that front tree
Basically, from
line.
last August to this past April, it rained like 2 or 3 times a week. You know, the amount of rain that we got in whatever that was, 8 months was incredible. So, I want to catch that.
Yeah, divert
Yeah,
with,
the front of my yard too, at the, the 112 elevation, there's almost like a crest, and the front has like a layer of clay.
Yeah.
Then after that it changes, so the water was just kind of, it was.
Held
it was
up in
a
that little clay
disaster.
layer.
Stumping, you understand what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why the septic's way over here.
Yeah.
Because
The
you didn't
further
get a
we go
perk,
back, the better the perks go.
and it got worse going up the hill.
Yes, absolutely.
So, some pump bucket and a, Board of Health inspection on the stone and drain system for footing. Everything?
Yep.
You okay with that, Ed?
Yeah.
No? You okay
You
with
guys
it?
covered it.
I make a motion to approve the variance for Rachel's Way. Is there a lot 2, Rachel's Way? Is that what we're going with?
Number
4.
Number
I guess they
4.
gave it number 4, yeah.
4 Rachel's Way. for a variance to the foundation elevation to the groundwater. The variance is going to be to place the lowest floor elevation approximately 2 feet below the perched water table with a French drain system, and also have a sump pump bucket installed in the basement, and also have the Board of Health inspect the foot of stone under the footing in the sump pump bucket and the drain system installed. And also have it recorded on the deed that this variance was given by the Board of Health per request of the owner, that the basement is 2 feet below the perched water table.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All's in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right, guys, have a good one. We haven't seen you in a long time. Good, how are you? How's the old man doing? You brought a big board and everything.
Yeah, looks like you all have one, so. Can you bring some crayons?
I'm neglecting to do my duty. Next on the agenda is 2 Edgewater Drive, with Outback Engineering Incorporated to discuss requested local upgrade approvals. Now, for you, Jason?
How you doing? Jason Youngquist from Outback Engineering. I'm here to represent the applicant. We're looking to upgrade the existing cesspool to a in conformance septic system. We're using the concrete chambers, flow diffusers, with stone around them. We're asking for a local upgrade for depth below grade, just because we're tying into the existing invert out of the house. And then we have a proposed invert out of the garage for the bathroom in the garage. But it's the one in the house that keeps our grade a little bit below grade. And we're pushing it this far back to get as far away from the pond as possible. And that's our other 2 local upgrade approvals, within 400 feet of the pond with the septic leaching field, and within 400 feet with the septic tank. But these local upgrades allow us to replace the existing cesspool with a conforming system, and utilizing the existing invert out of the house. We don't have to do a pump or anything mechanical to get the wastewater there. That's about it.
So this is just, you could, I didn't even look at the top of the foundation. It could go up higher though, right?
The leaching, if we pumped it,
Yeah, like this, I just, you know, the water, the setbacks to the pond, I mean, this, we see those all the time. It's just the depth inside, you know, the depth of the components sometimes is just,
yeah,
if you can avoid it, it'd be best to avoid it if it's possible.
But
we're still over 5 feet above water table, which this sits quite a bit
Way
above the
up on
pond.
Yeah. And this is a mound compared to this roadway I just drove out there.
Yes.
This is up on
raised
the hill. Yeah, the roadway is much lower. Coming by here, this is kind of a hill, but it looks like it might even come up from the house a little, Jason, is that what it did?
It does.
So it actually comes up from the house and then goes back down to this road. You got a 2-foot mound. It's kind of sitting on a
Yeah.
knoll.
just to comment, I mean, you're raising the grade over the field. The existing grade you wouldn't need a waiver.
No, we're not raising it. We're just, that 70 contours just getting pushed out to make it a little bit flatter. So we're not raising the grade over it, no.
But I think without that 70 contour, if you just left it there, you'd probably just you'd probably just have your 3 feet.
No, because it's higher, because it's 72, you got the 72 contour floating through there, then you got proposed grade. So we're gonna try and shave some of that off,
Yeah.
to lower a little bit.
Yeah, I thought you were trying to do it to grade it back to that catch basin. So it looked to me like you were doing a drainage thing, is you're grading it back, because like I said, you're pushing that 70 contour out another 8 to 10 feet, whereas if you just cut it back, then you'd be good.
Well, we are, that's getting shaved off, so it ends up being around that 70 grade. This little lawn catch basin's at 70.3. So it's got a pitch to it a little bit.
Yeah, because you have the top of the system at 70.5.
Yep.
Right, whereas if you kept it at 70, I think you'd be okay, right?
Well, we want to make sure we're not having water sit on top of the septic system. We want it to slope away from it a little bit too.
But
Yeah,
you
because at grade 70, you meet the 3 feet.
Correct.
It's like almost a foot probably from that pipe to top of flow.
I'd have to be below 70 to meet the 3 feet. 69.5, I do believe. 69.6.
Yeah, your top of your system is at 69.
So it's close.
Yeah, it's not like it's real deep. And they're H20,
Yeah, it's
I mean,
kinda
that's all flow diffusers.
Before I looked at the full plan, I was looking at it on my phone.
Yeah, it's tough too, that's why I like driving by the places. You get a lot more of what's there just by driving by and go, oh, okay, that's why. And I can't see putting a pump in just because the full low, it's vented, so it's irrelevant.
Right.
Yeah,
You got anything, Bob?
separation of the water table.
No,
It's existing 4-bedroom now, correct?
It is existing
You're
4 bedrooms,
fully in the
yeah.
zone A.
No increase in flow.
And then the proposed garage, I know you're tying in a bathroom and water out there. There's obviously gonna be no bedroom out there.
No bedrooms, no.
And you're gonna be, is there a deed restriction to a 4-bedroom on this one?
Yes, so if you did any local upgrade approvals, you'd have to deed restrict it to 4 bedrooms.
This would be deed restricted.
Oh, Ed, you mentioned the garage, or whether it was a bedroom or not. Did you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, normally we get the plans, so I can confirm there's no bedroom, so I mean, you guys can approve the waivers, but just, the plan gets approved when we get the building plan for the garage, because that's just something, we normally do. As it comes through, we have to confirm, okay, it's not heated, it's an open space, it's whatever storage, but, just to confirm that there is no bedroom, because a lot of people don't understand what an actual definition of Title V bedroom is. So I have to match what the definition is to what's actually on the plan.
Because that would be controlled with the building permit for the garage, so, if you can just get the septic approved and get it in as soon as possible, and then when the garage goes to get built, he can't get his building permit until you sign off on the plans that he has.
I'd be fine with that.
So is there a reason that you can't get the building plan now, or is it just?
Well, the garage might not go up now, might go up later, so this way it's not holding up the septic system, so we don't need the two of them tied together.
Is the septic in failure? So is that why you're doing
Well,
it?
it's a cesspool, so they can fix it as soon as possible. So I'm not sure of his time frame but
For the garage?
for the garage, so we can get the septic fixed whenever he can, and then if the garage goes up at a different time, it wouldn't be impacted. We don't want to hold up the septic, just waiting for a garage that might be a little bit farther down the road.
Do we
Yeah,
still?
well, you can build the garage whenever, but it'd be nice if we had the plans before.
Well, I think what he's saying is, that, I don't know if they have the plans or drawing.
They don't have the
doing
plans
garage, yeah, but they want to put the system
Yeah, no, I
immediately.
understand that, yeah.
But do we still get the plans
Yeah, we
from
can
Nate?
notify the building department that when it comes through, it needs our approval. So that way I get to look at it before they'll give the permit for the building. We can do it that way.
I think Nate's pretty good at sending those over anyway, because he sees the same thing we would see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just want to make sure there's not a
Absolutely.
bedroom put in and you add a bedroom in the zone A.
Myself as
That's-
well.
Is it a sale or?
No.
But I'm fine with that. And you can't
Yeah.
get much further away from the pond than where you are. I mean, you're 12 feet from the property.
Yep, don't like to go too much closer.
Right.
And flood stages are 57 and we're up at 65 with bottom of system. So it's not like we're at anywhere near the water pond.
I'm good with I'm all set.
You all set with it, Ed? Anyone here to speak? You must be the only anyone here to speak on this one? We good?
You're good.
Make a motion to approve the septic repair plan at 2 Edgewater Drive. With the addition of a request, when the proposed garage building permit is done, Ed must inspect and sign off on the permit, just to make sure there's not a bedroom in that garage. And then, what is it, 2 variances?
3.
And 3 variances, that's on per plan.
With a 4-bedroom deed
And a
restriction.
4-bedroom deed restriction, because it's in a zone A with no increase in flow.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Sounds good. Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks,
Have a good
Jason.
night, Grace. Ed, I don't know if I was supposed to, this one says installs copy, so.
Yeah, you gotta give it back.
Yeah, all back. This is file copy. All coming back.
Yeah, I didn't even have a copy. I had a site plan copy.
All right, next on the agenda, approved meeting minutes as typed, July 20th, 2022.
I was good with that. I'm
You
good.
too.
Okay, Jason, thank you.
I'm good.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for July 20th, 2022, as typed.
Second.
Any discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I got one quick question on the meeting minutes, and that's on there. I saw an email come through. Did you read that email on the meeting minutes? We're still outstanding some for some reason.
Yeah,
Did you see
actually, I
that?
meant to bring that up before the meeting too. Yes, I did see the email.
Did you get
I did
that,
not.
Ed?
I did not see the email.
From Lillian? About,
Yeah, I did not.
it wasn't just it wasn't just
No,
our
that was,
stuff.
it had
was in
every
general
board.
about having
But if
meeting
you
minutes
look on the
posted
Board
and
of Health-
time limit. Like she didn't, I didn't even put
I
this.
just want to make sure it was addressed and Ed
Yeah,
looked into it or
I
something.
didn't get the email, so I don't know what you're talking about, but
Okay,
that's fine.
so just
I
remind
can
me.
look into it, you know. but-
Yeah, we'll forward you the email. Chris can do it right now.
But they saying we're supposed to post the meeting minutes before we vote on
We
it?
had outstanding meeting minutes. They have to be sent over. In a time frame because they're supposed to have it for Records Act.
Yeah, because they go in the, they put them in the computer so you can look them up.
And we were missing, a lot of boards were missing, but it said we were missing some from 2020 or 2021 or something.
I don't know. I can check.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure someone,
So-
it was addressed.
I'm sure there's somewhere.
Lori
Yeah.
and Fran were on that email. I'm surprised that you were not. You're the only person not on this email. So I meant to bring it up too, just in discussion to see how we were at, like we were at, like for. But yeah, it just is making sure that we're all up to date.
Can you forward that to Ed?
Yeah.
So we'll forward to you, just make a note to,
Okay, yeah, I'll check.
just see,
into
I
it, see what-
forgot to ask Lori or Fran. The day I came in, yesterday when I came in, they weren't in, so. Just to make sure it's getting addressed or something and that it gets sent over where they're supposed to get sent for the Records Act. All right, that's it on that.
Good point. Next on the agenda is any discussion regarding 43 Main Street? And
I have nothing.
I get,
I have nothing either, and you said there was nothing new, right?
Nothing new.
Next on the agenda, discussion regarding proposed open space residential development. I didn't have anything new. I don't know if you guys-
I haven't heard.
And there was nothing new correspondence wise,
Nothing new.
right?
Yeah.
But I would imagine hopefully the next meeting we'll have something to talk about on that,
Yeah, if it's gonna make town meeting, I would think they would have to.
because the towning's in
Right.
November,
Right.
I don't remember the date, but yeah, it would have to be if they're gonna get it on there. Next on the agenda is discuss recent Board of Health agent pending items. Ed?
Don't have any.
Nothing, all right, and next would be COVID-19 in West Nile and maybe Triple E. Combine the 3 updates, the virus update, we could call
All right,
it.
well, I'll start with the best. There is no AAA, so that's good.
Good.
There's been no human cases of AAA. There've been no mosquitoes testing positive for AAA. So far, so good on AAA. There was a 3rd case, I just heard it today, of West Nile virus. All 3 cases have been in Suffolk County, but they have had a number of mosquitoes, I think in Middleborough and Carver, test positive for West Nile. So it is in the area, but fortunately, we haven't had any human cases in this area. But there have been 3 cases so far, and most likely they're coming out maybe one or two a week now. So it's, you probably expect more in the next month.
would we know if there was any monkeypox in Lakeville? Is that something they're keeping track of?
Yes, it is tracked. Right now, the state is actually doing the tracing,
Okay.
because it's pretty small. There's been over, it's been over 100 cases in Massachusetts. I don't know where all of them are, but when it's that small, the state, I think they wanted better control over it and everything, just simply because it was in the early stages. Usually, once it gets too much for the state, that's when they start passing it off to the local boards of
It
health.
sounds like a month ago you were hearing about it every day, and now you don't hear about it too much anymore.
Well, two things. One, they do have a vaccine, and two, the message got spread. You know, at first, a lot of people didn't think it was too serious. The messaging did get out that I think a lot of people have thought that you would be completely covered with pox, and if you weren't, you were okay. Turns out with this, I don't know if it's a new variant, but sometimes people have very few pox, sometimes only 3 or 4 pox. So it's not as noticeable. And I guess that message got out and then it just went out in the community. So the number of cases did drop off considerably. And then the other thing is they do have vaccines and they are targeting those vaccines to the high-risk population. So it's working there as well. So they're getting a handle on it and things are improving. But yeah, it was a month ago, it was expanding pretty rapidly. So that's good news as well.
COVID-19?
COVID, cases are coming down slightly. It's still, for the most part, just, it's around. I'm sure most people know that they know someone who's had it or recently got it. But the main thing is just trying to get home tests. If you do have any symptoms, please get a home test. We have them at the Board of Health. We're going to try to distribute them throughout other places within the town so they're readily accessible. And that's the key because, like I said, especially with the winter coming up, we're going to get colds, we're going to get flus and things like that. So it's good to have that test and know whether it's COVID or whether it's just the flu. Either way, you should take some precautions, but definitely if it's COVID, you should be isolating. And that's one of the best ways to keep it down. Lakeville is getting another batch. They just came out today. The state is distributing more take-home tests, and we are going to try to distribute those to the public, more in public buildings. We'll have more on that later as to which buildings they are, but we have to, talk to the departments about who can distribute those the best,
Yeah.
But as of right now,
If they have it, they shouldn't walk around the buildings looking for the test, right?
Exactly.
Call us and
yeah, the first thing, if you
Bring it
want to
out to their
test,
car
call
or
the Board of Health
something.
and come down and do it. Now, if you actually have COVID, have strong symptoms, try to send someone else, or even just give us a call and we'll drop them off in the mailbox, if it's a very serious case. But really, you should not be coming into a public building if you have strong symptoms that you
To
believe
get a
is
COVID test, to take it if you think you have it.
Yeah.
So that's,
Yeah.
you want it ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly. You should do it ahead of time. And we have some at our office, at the Board of Health office. Like I said, it's always good to call first and let us know you're coming. But like I said, they are readily available to everyone in town. We don't check your ID. We don't do anything. We'll just give you a couple of tests.
So try to get a test and just keep it on your shelf.
Yeah.
So if you,
Yeah. And like I said, maybe you don't need it now, but like I said,
so you have it.
yeah, we are expecting a surge, especially as it gets colder and people spend more time inside. So, it's good to stock up now and then for the fall and winter.
Now, are they still recommending tests for 3 days? I've seen a couple of articles on that. If you think you have it, just don't take a test one day and think you could. Don't they still recommend take a test for 3 days straight?
Correct.
After you feel sick? No,
Yeah, no, you're
not
correct.
just think you're good to go and out the door?
Yeah, they did find that some people were testing one day and get a negative test. Sometimes at the very first sign of symptoms, say you got a little bit of a stuffy nose or something like that, people test and they were getting negative tests and they thought they were okay. And a couple days later, it got significantly worse and they tested again and it was, they were positive. So they said one of the best ways is to do what you just said, test 3 times. So if you test, even if you get a negative, if your symptoms are worsening, test again the next day and then test again the next day to make sure. And they usually say if you test 3 days in a row, there's a very good chance you're going to catch it.
Okay.
Also, there are new vaccines out. There's a new bivalent vaccine out. These are specifically targeted towards Omicron. So like the traditional vaccines that we've been getting, the booster shots that we've been getting, they've done a great job of keeping people out of the hospital and, keeping people from dying. But since Omicron came, a lot of people are still catching it. These new ones are supposed to give you better protection of preventing you from catching it in the first place. So they are out as well.
What-
So talk
Did they just release the Pfizer one?
both Pfizer and Moderna are
Oh,
out.
they're both out. I hadn't heard that yet.
Yeah, this week.
Oh, oh,
And
so
they,
must
and
be
they
just
say
this
they're
week.
gonna be like the flu shots now. Every year they'll adjust them to whatever's out there and you'll get it when you get your flu shot.
Right.
And you said you knew the time frame you can get this if you've had a booster within, would they say 2
4
months?
months, I
What
thought it
is
was.
that? Do you know that?
Yeah, so if you had a booster over 2 months ago, you were eligible for this one. Pretty much
So you
everyone
can already
is
get it,
eligible. Like the two things they say is if you've had a booster in the last 2 months, or if you've had COVID within the last 3 months. So if you just had COVID last month, probably should wait another month or two before it, because what it actually does, it actually increases your immunity by taking it a little later, because by getting COVID, you increase your immunity to it, and then combination of the vaccine, you get a very strong immunity. So rather than taking it 2 weeks or a month after you just got COVID, you're better off waiting 3 months, they say.
Months after you had COVID or 2 months?
Yeah.
If you've already had a booster.
Right, 2 months.
Okay. That answers my questions on COVID.
Is that it?
Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.